Добрый вечер.
Good evening. Today we have an important issue to discuss. Vitaly Gennadievich Savelyev will report on the prospects for the implementation of the Northern International Transport Corridor.
May I ask you two questions before we move on to the main issue?
Yes, go ahead.
What is your position on U.S. President Donald Trump's initiative to create a peace council? And what are your assessments and predictions regarding Greenland?
Of course, as for the Peace Council, we have indeed received a personal appeal from the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, with an invitation to join a new international structure created on his initiative, the Peace Council. In this regard, I would first like to thank the U.S. President for this proposal. We have always supported and continue to support any efforts aimed at strengthening international stability. We also note the contribution of the current U.S. administration to the search for a solution to the Ukrainian crisis. As for our participation in the Peace Council, the Russian Foreign Ministry has been tasked with reviewing the documents we have received, and they will consult with our strategic partners on this matter, and only then will we be able to respond to the invitation we have received. The proposal made to us primarily concerns the settlement in the Middle East and the search for possible ways to solve the pressing problems of the Palestinian people and resolve the most acute problems of the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip. In this regard, I would like to note the main thing. The main thing is that the entire process should have a positive impact on the long-term settlement of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, based on the relevant decisions of the United Nations. And it is necessary to take into account the basic needs and wishes of the Palestinians. This concerns the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip and its basic social infrastructure, healthcare systems, water supply, and the establishment of uninterrupted food supplies. Therefore, even before we decide on our participation in the composition and work of the Peace Council, given Russia's special relationship with the Palestinian people, I think we could send $1 billion from Russian assets frozen under the previous U.S. administration to the Peace Council. Incidentally, the remaining funds from our frozen assets in the U.S. could also be used to rebuild territories damaged during the hostilities after the conclusion of the peace treaty between Russia and Ukraine. We are also discussing this possibility with representatives of the U.S. administration. I plan to discuss all these issues with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, with whom we will hold talks tomorrow, as well as with U.S. Representatives Stephen Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who are also coming to Moscow tomorrow to continue the dialogue on the Ukrainian settlement. That is all on this matter. Now, regarding Greenland. The Greenland issue does not concern us at all, but we have experience with similar issues with the United States. In 19th century, in 1867, as we know, Russia sold Alaska to the United States, and the United States bought Alaska from us. And if my memory serves me correctly, Alaska's area is 1 million, somewhere around 1,717,000 square kilometers. Maybe a little more. The United States bought Alaska from us for $7.2 million US. Of course, this figure needs to be checked, but I think that's right. In today's prices, taking into account inflation over all these years, this figure would be $158 million. And Greenland is slightly larger, I think, 2,166,000 square kilometers, more or less. The difference is somewhere between 450 and 449,000 square kilometers, approximately. So if we compare this with the cost of the United States acquisition of Alaska, the price for Greenland would be somewhere between $200 and $250 million. If we compare it to the price of gold at the time, this figure would probably be closer to $1 billion. But I think the United States will be able to afford that. Most importantly, Denmark and the United States also have their own experience in this regard. As far as I know, in 1917, Denmark sold the Virgin Islands, and the United States bought them. So they have this kind of experience. Incidentally, Denmark has always treated Greenland as a colony and treated it quite harshly, if not cruelly. But that is a different matter, and hardly anyone is interested in it now. But it certainly does not concern us. I think they will sort it out themselves.